Hello, I'm Dan Wise, host of Senior Speak New Hampshire, one of the longest running shows here on Concord Community TV. The show is sponsored by AARP, and I'm an AARP volunteer. Today, it's the holiday season, and there are a lot of wonderful things that are about the holiday season, but one of the things that is not so wonderful is that there are a lot of scams and swindling that goes on and victimization of consumers that takes place during this hectic, busy time. 80% of U.S. consumers have experienced or been targeted by fraud during the holiday season, according to an AARP survey from last year. Phony charity appeals, fake shipping notices, online shipping scams. 'Tis the season to be wary. I would like to introduce someone who can really help us navigate through this thicket and protect ourselves a little bit. And his name is Mark Boyd. He's a very active AARP volunteer, former state president of AARP New Hampshire, and he's very active in something called AARP Fraud Watch. And you speak a lot about fraud in various groups around the state. Fraud is one of the top priorities of AARP. There just seems to be so many ways that scammers and evildoers are reaching out to us through all the communications media that there are. We're going to talk about a whole litany of holiday scams, holiday-related scams that occur around this time of year. But first, I wanted to talk to you. Welcome to the show, Mark. I wanted to talk to you about the mindset that we are in the holidays. Why is it such a time for this kind of fraud? Why is it so prevalent at this time of year?
Well, as Andy Williams sang, it's the most wonderful time of the year, and it is for scam artists. I've been doing this for like 15 years, going all over the state doing workshops. When I started, I used to have maybe 40 people in an audience, and I'll say, how many of you have been touched by a scam? And I get 2 or 3 people who raise their hand. I do it now, they all raise their hand.
Wow.
It's an epidemic, and
wow.
We are trying, authorities are trying, and they do make gains, but it's not a fair fight. These scam artists are good. For every step we take, they tend to be 2 steps ahead. But we're catching them, but not as many as we should. Anyway, people are in a joyous mood now. They're happy. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and they have faith in people. And in that, scam artists, that's what they take advantage of.
Yeah,
trust. Yeah, there's basically 2 types of scams. One is an emotional scam, would be like the grandparent scam, where you think your grandchild is in jeopardy. And the other one's a financial scam, thinking that you're going to save money or you're going to make a lot of money. You put the holiday season, it's ripe. It's a ripe time of year for it.
We're shopping. We got the wallets open, so to speak. So we're going to review a handful of various ways that people scam us. And the first one that we're going to talk about is phony charities. What we get Giving Tuesday is coming up, I think, and then there's a lot of end of the year charitable giving. What are some of the things to watch out for with regard to charitable giving at this time?
Well, scammers love natural disasters. If there's a disaster or anything where they can go into the heartstrings of the victim to say, give us money. Scammers take advantage of generosity. And this time of year, people tend to be generous, even if it's not a good economy. What they do, they will either create fake charities, or they will use an existing charity, and this is called phishing. Phishing is where they establish a ruse to get you to donate. And there's 2 issues with these scams. one is you want to know how much they actually, receive. Some scam people, they scam, some charities will take 90% for administrative fees and 10% for that. They're the legitimate ones too. The scammers are taking 100%.
Yeah.
And the things you can do, you got to be cautious. You never want to give money over the phone. And you do. That's probably one of the major scams you get on from the fire department or the police department. The bottom line, research charities before you donate. And there's sites, the Better Business Bureau, Wise Giving Alliance, or Charity Navigator. They will tell you if it's a legitimate charity.
Right, great. Okay, and then the next one is buying stuff online. Who are you buying from?
And that, the explosion in online shopping now, and the scam artists are jumping right into it. You've got to be careful. My mom always said, Susie Boyd, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And that's what it is. This would be a financial scam where you're getting the buy of a lifetime. But the reality is the scam artist getting the buy of a lifetime. You're getting an empty.
Because you're getting nothing, but you're giving your information, your financial information.
And money.
Yeah.
If you send them money. If you want to really check these two, a trick you can do is always pay by credit card. Never pay by cash. And they'll try to get you to another vehicle to pay. Because if you do, you lost it. You do it by credit card. Credit card companies are good to back you and to support you.
And also, there's a difference, I know, between credit cards and debit cards in terms of the amount of protection that you have from your bank,
debit cards is like cash.
Like cash, right?
It's cash. And they're taking it right out of your account. And once you do that, you don't get it back. You don't get it back.
Yeah.
Hey, let me just say now, if you're watching this show, please understand, 99% of these people on the face of the earth are good people. It's that 1 or 2% that you got to watch out for. Please don't get discouraged. You got to be vigilant.
Vigilant.
Get it right, yeah. And you got to be careful, and you got to ask questions.
That's great.
Vigilant.
Yeah. And these. Sometimes a website can look really convincing as being some trusted brand name that you think, that you're familiar with, right?
Yeah, and they call that spoofing.
Okay.
But if you have a right eye, you can look at it. There's always something. It could be a misspelling. It could be the numbers. They're not perfect. You got to do your due diligence when you do this. You should never purchase on a site that you don't know. And what you can always do, you can always Google the site. People with the emotional aspect, if they have a good deal, they feel they got to get right at it.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, sit back, and say, I'll get back to you. And then go online and Google the company.
Yeah. Actually, I was just reading something the other day about online awareness of people, how aware they are of what they see on computer screens. And for example, like when you go to Google, the first results you get, there's usually a little word at the top that says sponsored. And it doesn't mean that that's the most popular link or the best link for information. It just means that somebody paid Google to be at the very top of that. And it was, in this research, it was a surprising number of young people. It was a study of young people. How few of them realized that. They thought that if it was at the top, it was because it was the best or the most popular. So if you have if you have grandkids or whatever, you can teach them something about being online, which is to be more scrutinizing of what it is that you are looking at there and why those results are high up in the.
And that's
in the
ironic, because usually I'm going to my grandkids to ask for help on
Yeah.
technology. A quick example. I'm looking for a snowblower. So I go to Google. I see, wow, it's a nice snowblower. And I get that pop-up from another company saying, you can get this cheaper, like $200 cheaper. So, of course, I go to that site, and as I looked at it, I said, nah, there's something wrong. Remember Susie Boyd, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So what I did is I got out of the site, I went to Google, and they said it was fraud.
Yeah. You know, it's important to look at the address of that website. Rather than all the pretty pictures in the website, look at the address and see if it really is the company that you think it is, or if it just looks a little weird.
Yeah, and Google is wonderful as a support network.
Yeah. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is the delivery notification. You'll get emails saying you're going to get a delivery. And at the holidays, maybe you are getting a delivery you weren't expecting, because maybe somebody's being generous and sending you a gift, and UPS is telling you, you have a package waiting for you. And you think, oh, it's going to be something nice to open up, right? Am I right?
Yeah, and what they do, they want you to go to this website. Never click on a website when you get an email, unless you know it's legit. And the website is designed to get your personal information. They get your personal information, you're on the road to identity theft. And that's where you have to be careful. People who are watching this who have been involved with identity theft know it's a freight train, if not a nightmare. What's really good too, at least with the United States Post Office, you can get on a site and ask them to keep you informed. And the post office will let you know when you are getting a package or when something is coming to you. And I'm pretty sure UPS and FedEx do the same.
Yeah, but what you do is you go to those websites and you enter your tracking number,
You register.
rather than answering some email somebody sends you and says, oh, we have a package for you.
Yeah, and you don't even
part
have
of
to
the
do that
cautious
now.
key.
They have a system now where proactive, you sign up for that program. And they just send you an email that you will get a package today. And that's,
that's right. The post office does this. Yeah.
And that really helped, because then you know. Again,
Which also would help you in the case that if somebody is stealing a package off your porch.
Yeah. And so there's
porch
two issues.
pirates.
One is they're trying to get your personal information, or they're actually stealing the item.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And next thing we want to talk about is gift cards. Lots of people resort to buying gift cards as presents, and gift cards are not always what they appear to be.
Again, as I said earlier, it's not a fair fight. These scam artists are good. And the probability of this scam artist is not even in the United States. They could be all over the world in a boiler room just making phone calls or doing it. They will develop fake, Craigslist sites or whatever to get you to purchase this card. Again, it's due diligence. What you do is you should really never purchase a gift card unless you know where it's from. And even that, if you go to a local retailer to buy a gift card, you really need to look at the actual card to see if it's been compromised. Because another thing these scam artists are doing, the local one, they'll go in there and they get the cards, and then they'll put them back, and they have the information so it's coming to them.
So they've scanned the unique number on the gift card that's on the kiosk in the store, and then when you go to use the card, it's been drained already? Is that kind of what happens?
Yeah, what they say that run your finger over the back to see if the sticker has been scratched off.
Oh, okay.
If the sticker is scratched off, those are the money.
Mm-hmm.
And never pay for goods, services, fees, or fines with a gift card. They'll try to get you to do that. You can pay, bills, you can do whatever. You don't do that with a gift card. And once you buy that gift card, you've lost your money.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Now, travel is something we also do at this time of year, and I've heard of scams involving, say you sign up for what you think is a rental or a vacation rental, and it turns out to be not the money you gave to the person for that vacation rental is not really the owner, right?
And New Hampshire is vulnerable in this area because we have so much vacation property. And what the scam auditors would do, they will put online this property. And what you do, again, it's incredible. You're getting this for like maybe 30 cents on the dollar. So you stop thinking. You stop thinking and you just go and buy it. We've had more stories where a person will go to a property that they rented, and it's a parking lot or it's a dilapidated house. You get this a lot in the Lake region and there. And the holiday time, people are going on vacation. They want to get away, and they're selling property they do not own.
Yeah.
So anyway, the key there is you want to use trusted apps to book rentals and keep all interaction on the platform. A scam auditor will have you on a platform, and they'll want to get you off that platform. So you're talking to them independently, and that's when chaos happens.
Okay. Any other travel-related type issues?
Well, you have travel scams too. Another thing they're doing is you get an email about a special offer on a flight, on a train, or whatever. And again, it sounds too good to be true, and people jump on it, and it is not true. You always have to do some research. Don't let your impulsiveness get ahead of you. There's a term in fraud called ether. And remember when you were a kid, if you had your tonsils out, you go to the hospital and they give you that ether, and it's like happy times. That's what the con artist scammer wants to do. They want to put you in a state of ether because you're not thinking. You're thinking of the benefits you're getting, not the reality of what's happening.
Yeah. So you've done this talks, speaking engagements on this.
Actually, we have Sunny Mulligan Shade. She's a victim advocate for the Attorney General's office. She and I have gone all over the state, giving a workshop, the 10 top scams going on in the state. Every season, it's a different scam, whether it's the summer, the fall, the spring. And if you ever want to get Sunny and I out to you, call the AARP's office.
So if somebody has a group, if you have a group that you want to have speakers for, AARP Speaker Bureau can get someone to talk about the fraud topic, and they actually have a variety of other topics. Well, just kind of off script here, can you think of any stories of where people have told you about, you've gone to you've spoken to an audience, and someone in the audience has either told you about something you hadn't heard of before, or a great story?
Well, without sounding like a jerk, I think I've heard it. Not all. Another, and this is not a holiday scam. A big issue too is the romance scam.
Oh yeah.
In New Hampshire, and please don't think it's only a female problem, because it's 50-50, male or female, where someone gets in an online relationship with another party, and they think love has bloomed, only to find out after losing a lot of money that it hasn't. One of the unsung heroes of scams are the bank tellers. We are so fortunate in New Hampshire, we're still small enough that if you go into your bank, you probably know the teller. The teller knows you. You go in, the teller will see someone who keeps going in and taking a lot of money out. And they say to the person, what's happening? And the person would say, I met the love of my life. and then what the teller would do, and they'd try to say, well, are you sure? And she goes, oh, yeah. And then the manager will talk to this person, and the person's in complete denial because they met their person.
Yeah, yeah.
And he eventually will bring the
Feel
police
that warm
in.
feeling.
Yeah, and the police will, give them a dose of reality, and they say no. There's a lot of that going around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully there are some people like that in your life that are looking out, helping to look out for you.
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
And a Santa scam too. You're getting. Remember where they say send a letter to Santa,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are legit, but you do have some who want that letter to get personal information to go after.
Yeah.
But now listen, it's 2%. It's 2%. The sky is not falling. Please.
Is there are there any in-person scams to be aware of, or things like
Well, that's amazing. In the last 2 years, normally the grandparent scam.
Yeah.
And that's in 2, where you get a phone call and your grandchild in jeopardy, alleged jeopardy or something. In the past, it was all done online. Now, we had these scam artists knocking on doors. And they're getting caught. That's a good thing. Another example of this is you'll get someone saying, I'm from the law enforcement, you owe money
Yeah.
for a court appearance or whatever, and they're knocking on doors. And
Oof. Yeah, or they're saying they're from the IRS. That's
yeah,
a spring,
IRS,
must be a spring scam.
Yeah, that's coming in March.
In March,
That is coming in
you
March.
owe taxes or whatever. Well, this has been just a breakneck racing through just a handful of the scams that you might face. But fortunately, AARP, there are some other organizations such as the Better Business Bureau and what am I thinking? Oh, the department. It's not quite a scam, but if you have a dispute with a merchant or whatever, the Department of Justice, the Consumer Protection Division of the New Hampshire Department of Justice has.
As I said earlier, don't pay cash. Don't pay a Bitcoin. Use a credit card.
Yep.
Use a credit card.
So your financial institution, and check your bills. Check your credit card. That happened to me just yesterday. I got my credit card bill, and there was a charge on it on the last day of the month, and it's for something that I didn't recognize the name, and it was on the debit card, and I don't use my debit card. I have a debit card through my checking account, but I don't use it. I pay all my bills
that's
online.
How I operate.
I pay all my bills online, or I have a automatic draw, with a certain merchant. And this was a debit card charge, and I was like, I don't know what this is. And the merchant, well, I called up, and it's actually a legitimate business, but someone has my credit card, and I think they wanted to see whether I'm vigilant or not.
And they start small.
And they start small. It was 1995.
Yeah.
It was not tiny, but it was something that you could overlook.
Yeah.
And so...
there's 3 things. I like to say there's 3 crucial steps if you think you've been victimized. One is the first thing you do is you protect your financial accounts. And you do that by you report the fraud immediately to your bank or your credit card lender and ask them to stop direct debits, as well as reverse any suspected fraud.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is you want to alert the authorities. File an official report with the Federal Trade Commission. And especially what you want to do is you want to let your local police department know. Now, there's very little that the local police department really can do, but you put the fraud on a radar screen. Every police department now has a website. And on that website, they will identify what's currently happening in your community.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it's good. And the last thing you want to do is you want to secure your accounts and devices. You're going to hate to hear this. You got to update your passwords and do a full scan of your devices using an antivirus software. Hackers can strike at any time. Those are 3 steps to start the process.
Those are awesome. Great.
And then you call the fraud network.
And then the fraud network, yes. And there is, we have a phone number that you can check. This is an AARP service. It's available Anybody. You don't have to be a member. And you can call and you talk to a real life person who is understanding and can help you sort through some of these questions and possibilities if you're suspecting something or if you've been victimized and you don't know what to do. Call that number. The other thing is we have a slide with the website for aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. And if you don't remember that, if you can at least remember aarp.org and enter something into the search and search there, fraud, they have a ton of resources.
It's a wealth of information. Dan, I got to tell you, I'm very disappointed. You have not mentioned my ugly holiday sweater, which I wore specifically for this event.
Well, I think.
And you got the red shirts.
I think you got plugged. I think you plugged the ugly sweater. The ugly sweater of the. It's not.
And you can buy this sweater, or sorry.
It's actually. I think it's not an ugly sweater. I think
it's ugly. It is ugly.
I have seen some in the stores that are just. You really turn your head. But Mark, the half hour has flown by. Hopefully, we've given folks some good guidance, and we'll help them get through the season to be wary. Mark, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Dan. You're doing a great job so far.
Thank you. So far, keep your eye on it. All right.